champ is here. We will definitely not shut up and dribble. The champ is here. I must be the greatest. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I took up the world.
Yes, welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with we. But we're going to cut it short today. I got my man.
Your mate.
He's still definitely in the building. We got the back of the house is ready to go, man. So we're just going to jump into that live, man. So as I set it up, MH, man, you call him out as you see him on the screen.
Coach Birdie Ross.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Blake Starr, good to see y'all, man. Coach, good to see you.
All right, so
I'm
we're
excited about this.
Get it started, man. So, you know what we do, man. We talk about the topics going on in the month, you know. So we'll definitely let you get it off your chest, man. So we prepared a couple of topics, but as you have things, you know, don't hesitate to reach out and speak out. But we want to start in the news. It kind of happened at the end of last month, and it was a topic that we wanted to discuss last month, but we felt we would carry it over. And MH, you got to help me with this. I think he's like one of the directors of football, just kind of, I think it's Troy Vince or Vince Troy, something like that. He was just really talking about like how they want to continue to expand the game to make it be global, and how they were looking at like flag football, looking to push that and maybe even make that an Olympic sport. So I think, MH, you got a little bit of more background about kind of like where you've seen that term, but just want to kind of get everybody's opinion on seeing flag football become an Olympic sport. Yeah, I know. Coach kind of gave me the head turn, but yeah, that's one of the things that he pushed. And MH, I think you got a little bit to share on this.
Yeah, Troy Vincent, I think he is the VP of football operations, I think, with the NFL level. But there's a major push to kind of marry up the game of flag football and tackle football a lot of different ways. One of the big pushes with it is that women and girls are really being active in flag football here in Nevada. Flag football is a varsity sport, and now there's even scholarships with the NAIA at the college level where girls can continue playing flag football at the college level. So there's obviously opportunities to grow. I don't know the count of many countries that participate in flag football, but I would say it's over 20 that actually play flag football at a national level in their country. I know it's, us being here in Nevada and close to California, I know Mexico is really big. So they're out here at least 3 to 4 times a year for many different age levels playing flag football very competitively. It's a I guess you can deem safer game. It's a faster game. It's different from 11-on-11 tackle football, but so is 3-on-3 basketball, which is an Olympic sport now as well. So I think it's just another variation of football, and I'm all about it.
Anybody else? Don't be shy now. I start calling names like the teachers in the classroom.
Okay, let me go first because I got a whole lot to say about it. First of all, I absolutely hate it. And I hate the way it's done here in Nevada, particularly because it's the same season as basketball season, and it's destroying basketball in Nevada ever since we've had flag football, to which there's little known fact, the students picked that. So 6 years ago, we had to give a survey, and the 3 choices, and this was all a Title IX thing, the 3 choices were field hockey, which none of the kids ever heard of, flag football, and lacrosse. And they literally went to the students because I administered this survey, and they took verbatim. And I remember distinctly every single kid asking, well, what does that mean? What is that? What is that? Most of the kids had never heard of any of them. And they didn't just interview girls. They interviewed girls and roughly a handful of guys. And this was for Title IX, and flag football won. So that's how it came about. But it also, flag football is here. It literally starts the day that basketball starts, and then it ends the day that basketball ends. And you have a whole ton of kids who now play flag football. The injuries, from what I've seen firsthand, are insane. It's brutal on some of these girls, particularly because even though they're not supposed to be getting tackled, they're playing in January and in February. All the coaches here, and we've done this year after year. I've even written an entire manuscript as to why have advocated not against flag football, but for it to be moved to a spring sport where it doesn't compete. Like a girl this is just my opinion, a girl who's a pitcher and a standout pitcher is not going to stop pitching to play flag football. A diver is not going to stop diving to play flag football, but a basketball player and a flag football player is almost the same type of athlete. That's just my opinion. So we're pulling the numbers in basketball has been down of over 20%, and that's for every school, not just your hood schools, your private schools, your up northern schools 1 through 4. Everybody's been down since flag football, and all we've asked was for it to be a spring sport to where it doesn't compete or kill us, and they said absolutely not. But when you go to college, the seasons are changed. So that's just my tidbit on it. I can't stand it. I don't like it, and I don't like how it's implemented here.
So wait, Brady, I hear two things though. So it's not that you don't like it; you just don't like when it is.
There's a little bit of it I don't like as well. Because I mean, obviously, I deal with it on a daily basis, not just from a basketball perspective, but from the kids. I mean, I see these kids, and there's 2 types of injuries that these girls are getting, and I don't know if it's necessarily because they haven't played or not athletes. I'm not sure what it is, but the knee injuries and the shoulder injuries. Literally, the girls are literally like they're falling big time, and it's not just 1 or 2. It's everywhere. And they're playing on the football field. The facilities are up to date. Not sure what that correlation is, so I can't necessarily speak to that. But
Right.
If you ever got the injury report, it's pretty bad.
So
Go ahead.
I'm gonna just chime in and say, how many Olympic sports do we need? At what point is it? I mean, we already got to wake up at 2 a.m. to watch some of the stuff that we really love.
To watch
So where did
Well, I mean, break
What channel is
dances is in there.
Flag
I mean, since they all into break dancing and skateboarding, I mean, NFL's like, well, let's find a way in there, right?
Yeah. So
I would agree with
guess
that.
that's just the thing. Are we oversaturating something that's a special thing to be a part of? And then if I'm in the NFL, but I could play flag football in the Olympics, do I take a season off to get on that team so that I can play, or what do I do? Because being an Olympian is a huge thing. Especially if you're on, we'll just say like the Giants or something like that. You might want to take a season off and let them retool and then go get you an Olympic medal. But I'm all for the activity of having females involved in football, though. So I think the injury aspect is always a big thing, regardless of when you're talking high school sports. But exposing them and making it something as we can keep pushing for gender equality, giving them a platform to learn and participate in football, I think it's awesome. It's a great thing to be able to sit in a room with a woman and speak sports and her throw stuff back, just like the women that we have in this room here. It kind of makes the environment special when you guys have something to say about all sports. So I'm happy with the inclusion part. I don't think it needs to be an Olympic sport no time soon. Because we have too many things. You just said breakdancing. I mean, really, literally, for the whole time, you got about 80% of content nobody wants to watch, so that they can watch the things that are important. So maybe they could make it part of the Winter Olympics or something like that.
I'd take it over the ski and shoot.
That's what I'm saying. Canoeing and kayaking.
I didn't even know ski and shoot wasn't one.
Yeah, I'll take
Cross country skiing, and they stop and they're like, all right, and they keep pushing. I'll take flag football over that, but I think I don't know. See it in the Olympics would be kind of wild because the NFL, while as worldly as it is, it's not as big as like I think on a level of like baseball and basketball and soccer, sports wise, like around the world, if that makes sense. Like in rugby, I think rugby is a bigger world sport than football is, personally.
Right now,
And
I think that's the thing. I don't even know if it's. I think the NFL is its own brand, right? And it's 11-on-11 tackle football. There's always going to be a space for that as long as the American people are consuming that. But I think this gives a different. This gives a different element to the game. the thing about football that I think is evolving, even at a very young age, is the skill level. So it's not so necessarily like you got to just be tough. There's a lot of toughness that goes into football. We all know that, right? Physical toughness, mental toughness, all that kind of stuff with any sport. But a lot of times football gets categorized as just the tough, that guy, that girl. You know what I mean? But now I think flag football gains different skill levels, right? It's more based on skill level than it is just physical toughness. And I think there's a room for that for a certain demographic and athlete. And I don't think it has to be I just think it's two different things. Maybe it's a situation where an older athlete that's not playing anymore can continue playing football and it just be on the flag piece. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that plays currently in the NFL. I don't know. I think
T.O.
there's
still
a
runs
space
a
for that.
Are you letting T.O.? I was about to say, so
Yeah.
T.O.
He's
is
still running
Olympic,
the
he's Olympic man of the year.
I mean, he's still running like that. I mean, shoot, yeah. I think there's a room for it.
Well, that's when you get into the senior games, though, right? Like after a certain age.
Not the way he running. He could play right now.
Right.
Oh. You think he can play right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He might not hold up, but he can.
Oh,
he can
I
line
just
up.
think I was about to
Dominant.
say, I think holding up would be the injury. But T.O. has a level of dog in him, and the athleticism is still there, that he can go out there and perform for sure.
right now.
Just because he got that dog in him. The dog is not going to let him get muscled up by any of these DBs, especially as the game gets softer. He's going to bring an element of physicality to that skill set that these guys ain't used to on a day-to-day. And that's the other thing. I'm impressed that Birdie said that the injuries are so graphic in flag football, because that's supposed to be the whole point of going to flag football is to reduce injuries, right?
But I think though you have unskilled players, right? Because you're introducing a new sport, right? Like it's different when you take a football player to to go out there and technically I don't have these pads on until someone's going out there with reckless abandon, right? It's like, I'm going to get this fly. And you've been out there and you smack the person off a GP.
Also, CCSD is definitely committed to it. This year, there's now flag football in middle school, both boys and girls.
Yep.
It's now a middle school sport too.
And
maybe they're trying to start early to prevent some of that, possibly, or also even keep boys in football. Flag football will not be a high school sport here. They kind of already determined that. So, but they do have it in middle school, and it's just, it could be to keep everybody involved, or maybe to help prevent some of those injuries, I guess, when they get to high school and everybody's bigger.
Does flag football exist outside of after high school? I haven't seen a flag football game in
Yes, in the Midwest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have a couple of young ladies here who were all Americans in there. It's an NIAI sport in the Midwest. I don't think it's at any D1 or 2 schools, but there's a couple of young ladies from here who've gone on full ride scholarships to Oklahoma, Missouri, in that area somewhere.
I had no clue that's a thing. I had no clue.
Yeah, I mean, and then
very new. We were one of the first states to have it in high school. Then Arizona followed, and now it's kind of building, but it's definitely new.
Yeah, and then a kind of part of that. I mean, it's unique here in Nevada where it's played in the wintertime, but in Florida and I think it's in Georgia now, and it may even be in Alabama. They all play in the spring.
Exactly.
So I see your point there, and I think that's the next level of the flag football realm. It's kind of marrying up the rules, right? Some people play 7-on-7. There's a 5-on-5. I know here in Nevada, the high school girls, they play kind of contact flag, which may lead some of those injuries. They don't necessarily play that way in Florida. So I guess there's ways to improve it, but I just like the opportunity for girls to play football and not just, when we were in high school, it's just powder puff. It's like, oh yeah, old girl's a quarterback. Now it's like, no, she can get a varsity letter. She can go to college and keep playing, and she really wants to play football. I just think it's dope.
I think it's
why do we
too.
have such a love-hate relationship with football, man? And you think of boxing. Which way is boxing going? It's going towards UFC, where it's more graphic and cats get hurt more. And in football, we're saying, hey, let's water it down and bring it back to this non-contact sport. But then we want it, though. We want it so bad, we're going to start as the thing. So I'm just lost by that. I don't get that part.
I don't know if it's watered down. Like I said, I think there's always going to be a place for that 11-on-11 tackle football, NFL. I think in the NFL they changed the rules a little bit to keep the players that you do know, so for marketing reasons, up healthy as long as they can. So I think you got to kind of change the rules a little bit. You want them to play healthy. Just
trying to limit the number of Antonio Browns out there.
Yeah, well, I think Antonio Brown's on some other stuff, but I think he's more on some Kanye.
You know you be doing that dance in the house,
KD he on that. Oh hell yeah, I'm on that. No, I just think there's always a place for that. Some real football. I just think there's elements to it too. Just like basketball is, like I said, phrased out into 3-on-3 and some other opportunities to play. You got the big three as a whole thing now, professional. I mean, I think football can do the same. I don't see what's wrong with it.
I agree with that also, and Nate. So, same tip, like and I think for me, like the flag football tip would just be like I prefer just to watch females do it in the beginning, just because, like you said, I like to see, wait till you see that the female Megatron or a female Michael Vick. You can be like, oh man, like that's dope, like some chick going all the way up in the air for for a high a high touchdown catch or something like that. I just think that would be dope for the world to see. I don't know about just seeing just random street dudes just out there playing flag football. I may not want to see that so much, but some talented females out there, because I think that way about the WNBA and women's college basketball. It's way more fundamentally done. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to watch a good game, watch the ladies play. You know what I'm saying? I think that eventually the flag football will end up on that type of speed.
And then maybe sneaking into the game a little bit. MH, is that something we can share? Or we talked about offline?
I don't know if it's public. But,
okay.
but I'll put it this way. I think there's going to be some things even more pushing flag football at the NFL Pro Bowl coming up. I can say that. I can put it that way.
Yes, and we'll leave it at that. So, all right, moving on to another topic, man, and it's really got pushed in the news, and it was so funny because, like, you got, like, me and MH, like, always go back and forth about prepping for this show and topics for other shows, and we brought up one a couple days ago where we were talking about these players playing in the pro-ams. All right, so that's the basketball offseason, and the big news struck and hit today that Chet, number one draft pick, Chet Holmgren, is out for the first season. He hadn't even had a chance other than Summer League. We got to see him here in Vegas, but other than Summer League, it's a done deal for him. So what are your thoughts about if players should be playing in these pro-ams during off-season? And I'll just, whoever wants to jump in and take that, because I know MH got some words for you.
I think it's a good thing. Players get to play against other competition, against each other. That was a one-off because what happened with Paul George a couple of years ago in the Olympics, shouldn't play in the Olympics as well. When he hurt his leg, and shit happened in Vegas a couple of years ago. So I think it's a good thing. Players can play against each other. And even the guys that's not professionals, they could get that experience against professionals and see how they do against them.
And yeah, so that's coming from Will, who is a basketball agent. so he's out there promoting it, and other sports as well, but basketball is one of his main things. So he's, as an agent, I guess he's telling his guys to go out there and get that run, get that burn. Anybody else got any thoughts on that?
I think it's naturally a part of the game to be able to play in the off season. It's very critical, like specifically in basketball, for guys to stay sharp. It is a sport that requires more year-round ball, and it's part of how they grow the awareness of the game itself. Without a lot of the pro-am, sub NBA, sub pro leagues, it's going to be tough for guys to get out there. So I think I'm all for it. Now, I think it's going to be a lot of discussion about it because I think one or two negative cases will persuade, common thought to say, hey, let's not have these guys play. But if they take those guys out of those tournaments, out of those leagues, you're going to see a lot of cities, a lot of development programs going to tank as well.
I mean, they're going to do it regardless. They were doing it before all of this exposure, so I think it's a good thing as well. They're going to put the games together, whether it's as public as it is or it's not. I mean, it's going to happen. So I'm here for it.
And that one was sanctioned, right? The one that they just the one that he got hurt at. That was
Yeah.
supposed to be like league approved and sanctioned and all that good stuff.
It's
Yeah,
a weird injury. The way
I'm gonna go with no on this. I'm not gonna have my rookie out there playing no damn pro-am. And if I'm an agent, I'm telling my player, you're not gonna play no pro-am. You even got to your big deal yet. You're still on a rookie deal. No, that is crazy. That is so
100%
crazy.
agree.
I'm not having my player playing no pro-am.
Negative.
And then what's so bad about it? The floor was trash at this pro-am.
Yeah, that was the issue.
It was all wet, nasty, like stuff.
Yeah.
No, you're not playing
They had
like.
They
It's
had to
other
cancel
ways.
some games.
Other players play and train during the offseason. Kobe didn't play. Kobe might have went to like younger Kobe. He went to like Rucker and all
Rucker,
that.
yeah.
But once he got older, he realized like, no, I can't do that no more because I can't be playing against nobody who have nothing to lose. Because it's really like 4 pro players and then a bunch of players who have nothing to lose.
Right.
Does it help that wasn't it? Didn't you get injured against LeBron though?
Yeah, but it's that like I said, it's like
That
4
helps the
pro players, but then a bunch of players that have nothing to lose. In a basically a high school gym.
Right. They were showing the Montrezl Harrell highlights the other day, and they were
Right.
like, Montrezl dominates the pro league. And I was like, there's only one pro there.
Yeah.
It was
I'm
crazy.
like, you scoring 50 against the White All Stars. No, get out of here. I'm not.
Shout out to the
no.
Y All Stars.
As an agent, as a player, like these players barely don't want to play college basketball. So you can go play a pro-am for nothing?
100% agree.
You
with
ain't
that,
need to get
man.
marketing in the pro-am. At least in college basketball, the marketing from just playing in the tournament is big.
Okay, so devil's advocate, right? It's a part of the culture, though, right? Like it's not really all for the marketing, right? That's a part of like hoop. Like we just did a show. We dropped a show on Kevin Durant. Like he was a pure hooper. Like wherever you're at, I got my backpack and I got my sneakers. You want to run? Who got next? Right? So that's just part of the culture, and it's not always doing it for the marketing. It's like, yo, I bust that ass, right?
Not
Like,
when $250 million is on the line.
so you ain't buying that, huh?
No.
No.
LeBron wasn't doing no LeBron. You know why LeBron doing pro-ams now? Because he old. He wasn't doing no pro-ams the previous years.
No.
But he was playing
doing
off
none of
season. But he was playing off season.
He was playing off season, but he got his boys. He got his
Against his
banana
peers.
boat boys, and
Okay,
they
that's
went,
fair.
they went hoop
That's
NBA
fair. That's
peers.
for
fair.
each other.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So I would take the word pro-am out of my response. I would correct myself. I
Yeah.
think guys should be able to play outside of their team, of the league, and have games. Now today, I just know that to be pro-am. But if there's other outlets for these guys to play, I think that's absolutely critical for guys to play.
It
Coming
is. It's
from
called a
the rubric
multi-million
right there.
dollar
That's
facility
Mr.
at the
Basketball,
house
The rubric right there. Absolutely. He talks basketball all day. So
with
what'd
me
you say,
and my
G?
friends, who are also professionals, who also have $250 million contracts. Because so we're not trying to hurt each other.
Part of the problem,
Don't
too.
most young players do that?
Say it again.
Don't most young players coming into the NBA, like you said, Chet Holmgren, he would do that. Durant did that. Iverson did that, but they didn't do that later in their careers. But
Right. I mean,
So
that's a pride thing.
okay,
They used to do that for pride. Like, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna do it because it gets me that work. I'm working with playing with all these greats. That's a pride thing. No, if I'm your agent, I'm like, you know what? I got all these other players. Y'all play together. You go work on your game that way.
Yeah. And that was the weird part to me about the whole pro because I know it's been going on for a while. It's just that the NBA is like streaming it on their own app. I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, this is weird. If I'm a OKC Thunder like ticket holder, I'm kind of mad right now. Like, yo, we didn't wait this whole time, or not maybe. I mean, we wanted to see Chet Holmgren in the OKC Thunder arena, and
Part
he
of my
got
season
hurt.
tickets.
I got hurt. He got hurt some YMCA in Seattle. I would be kind of upset with that. It's just kind of weird to me how the NBA.
The NBA
brands
saw
that as a
them
thing.
doing it by themselves, and they're like, "I can make some money on this.
Yeah, that's what. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
We can make a check here."
Here's my
That's what it
thing with
was.
programs in general. I'm not against the program, but there's a reason why the NBA Summer League is successful. All those guys are the same skill level. 10 years ago, there was only 2 pro-ams, and now we have like 15. And parity is insane with those. And you've never seen a highlight from a no-name guy. Like they're showing all the highlights from the guys who are already successful in the league. So a Chet Holmgren or anybody else, I I don't think they belong. Now, if there was a pro-am of players 1 to 4 years or whatever, I'd be in favor of that because that's just an extension of the summer league. But I don't like. I'm kind of what Gene said. I don't like just the whole gap or just the risking it all in the high school gym at all. I mean, if he stayed in Gonzaga, he'd be getting ready to play in a month.
What if LeBron was the one that got hurt? And you know how the NBA is built off their stars. Like, what if LeBron's the one that's out for the season? He got hurt in the YMCA in Seattle. Then what?
I mean, we barely had LeBron last year.
I'm saying, like, LeBron's about to break. He's about to break Kareem's scoring record. So that's going to be a big storyline. He plays for the Los Angeles Lakers, the biggest brand in the NBA. If he's not playing next year,
hey, MH, is it okay for them to stop the game when he breaks the record?
Oh yeah, you can stop that. It's appropriate. It's very appropriate. Now, Steph Curry, please stop.
For those that missed that episode, go back and check that out.
That's a subcategory. That's a subcategory. Please stop.
So, last thing before we get off and move to the next point, is this one of those, well, we knew it was going to happen? So, a lot of the scouts, that was their whole thing about seeing him in the summer league, that he was going to be frail, that he was going to get beat up as a big man going into the NBA. Comparisons to like Giannis, how he came in skinny and if he would put in the work. So, it's almost saying like they're like, oh, well, we knew this shit was going to happen. So, it's not that big a deal. Give him a year off, get him on his meal plan, bulk him up a little bit. Or y'all just think that's
I call it because technically he could come back in the spring if he really wanted to, but they like screw it. Let's go get Victor. Let's play our chips and let's get Victor, and then we team up Victor with Chet, and we good.
Interesting.
I think it's some of that type of stuff going on, but at the end of the day, like you saw him in the summer league, and you saw how bony he was. Not saying you can't be bony, you know what I'm saying? Because Kevin Durant did one rep of 195, 185. I can't. But you saw that. You saw that. Okay, it's gonna be a big. I mean, the rigor of 82 games is way different than 30 in college or whatever you playing. Like you saw that there was gonna be some sort of something, but you didn't expect it to happen again before the season started again playing against me in a pro-am. That's I just feel bad for those guys and him too, because he probably sitting back right now like that was stupid. But
yeah.
but
yeah, if he gonna get hurt, at least get hurt in the OKC Thunder jersey.
Right. Exactly.
I know.
Exactly.
Don't get hurt for the Birdman on above the rim.
Right.
Real quick, I got to put some respect on my home state's name. It wasn't a YMCA. It was actually at Seattle, which is a university, or sorry, not Seattle, SPU, Seattle Pacific University,
Boys and Girls Club.
Cool. But doesn't make it any better. I just had to make sure I cleared up that point. But my dad was actually there in attendance and just talked about. So this is me talking or being devil's advocate for the far other side. So Gene, I feel you on the contracts, the money, all the above, why we do what we do. But I think, from the amount of people who want to see these cats do their thing, who never really get, in Seattle wouldn't even have a hoop team no more. So this was the whole Sonic season in one day, right? In one summer. As being a hooper, that was some of the best ball. Like I'm trying to hoop during the summer. Obviously, I'm taking out the fact that you've got these $1 million contracts waiting for you and right in the future. But you just think about the culture, right? EJ, I'm with you on that piece. The amount of people who want to see these cats hoop, who want to be involved in hoop, who want to just have a super dope summer. Obviously, Washington specific. You've got Isaiah who just had his tournament. Probably Isaiah Thomas about a week or so before then. And I think that just from a culture and a hooper and just people just wanting to have fun, I think it makes sense. But also you have to think about too, like you really don't have as much to lose as I do. But I think we have to think about that in life in general. Who am I doing life with? You know what I'm saying? Because we can think about all these different examples of friends. I know we've talked about that stuff before of who you just doing life with in general, because he could have got hurt or could have got busted for something or who knows what, and still lost out on everything. So the advocate on the side of fun and culture, I think it makes sense. But on the side of is it really worth my future? Absolutely not.
My biggest beef about it is the people that get to go to the pro-ams is the same guys that always get the sneakers before I do. And you know what I mean. Every time you look at that pro-am line, you don't see none of us in them lines. It's the same dudes that's getting all the sneakers right now before us, who not a part of our culture.
All right, so we're gonna end it on that, man.
Boy, Nike have give Gene them shoes. God.
I'm good though. I trust my sneaker game is great, but I'm just saying.
Gene then came with it.
You look at it, look at the lines, you be like, man, where the brothers at? Like, where we at? Why we not in line? Why we can't get in?
Love it. All right, so sticking with the basketball theme, and we always got to give a shout out to our ladies, man, and definitely representing our WNBA Las Vegas Aces. Let's go. Number 1 seed, you know, they make it to the next round. But have anybody started or tapped in and watching the WNBA playoffs right now?
I'm fully in, locked in. Been at every game, watched every game on TV. The WNBA in general is breaking records right now and making revenue. Finally, it's not going to be a profitable year, but the revenue is up, viewership is up, attendance is up. This is across the league. And I love it. But last night, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, I think it was Connecticut and Dallas, pivotal game 3, which is round 3. And they decided to air the Little League World Series on ESPN as opposed to the game, which was supposed to be in. So that just kind of knocks it back, into what some people think of it. Because I was kind of surprised. I'm like, this is ESPN. And then they're saying, oh, you can turn to it on ESPN too. I think the game came on roughly 2 or 3 minutes left in the first quarter, maybe. I thought that was just kind of disrespectful and a huge slap in the face since we're promoting, and then we air a Little League baseball game as opposed to a game 3 elimination game.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know that the WNBA postseason was going on. So now that I know, I'll be watching it, but it's wild to see how
Didn't the Dallas team get eliminated? Is that why you stopped?
Yeah, Dallas got eliminated.
Yeah. You know, Dallas thought die, so fuck the WNBA. I'm done with it, bro.
They got eliminated because you didn't know
coming up.
that was
You were watching it. You weren't supporting.
That's why. That's my fault. My bad, Dallas. Sorry, Scott. I got you next year. But yeah, no. So now that I know, I'm definitely gonna watch it. But it's crazy to see that like a Little League. That is a slap in the face. The fact that you're gonna air some little kids playing baseball rather than some full ass grown adult women playing an elimination game in the postseason. Like that needs to change, and that's such a unfortunate circumstance.
Is that ESPN's fault? Because they always, ever since I was 8, played the Little League World Series when it was on. So could that not be on ABC or CBS, Fox? Somebody, they could have picked it up or played it on that. You know what I'm saying? Where it should have been on some prime time type of stuff. So
yeah.
I don't want to put all the blame on ESPN because they always play the Little League World Series.
Didn't something happen? Like that game was on. Yeah, and then it ran late because of something happened at the game.
They had a rain delay for the World Series.
Gotcha.
League.
Okay.
They had a serious rain delay, which pushed back the game. But that's a scheduling thing, and it's tough, right? Like, you definitely talk about time scheduling with like fights and things like that.
It happens because it happens with us. Like they have something that's already programmed. They'll bump us if you're supposed to be on linear ESPN, we get bumped to 2 until that other program is over.
Yeah.
So they do it in college football too. It'd be like a terrible game, but then the next game is great. And they bump the great game would be on ESPN too until that other game is over. So it's like it's a normal thing. So,
but do they do that in postseason though? Like postseason elimination? I don't know. I don't know if
they just do it for big events. Period. Like it doesn't matter what it is. It's just all right. If something's on and they end up delayed, like if it goes into extra innings or something like that, they're gonna delay they just gonna put the other one on ESPN too until the other one's over. So. And it's a ratings thing because you don't want to have your core audience who's watching that event have to flip a channel in the middle of the event. Yeah. You'd rather keep them there, put everybody else on 2, and then when that new game start, put it on ESPN.
And rain delays are so finicky as well. Like in
It's
baseball in general.
tactics to it.
I've watched like 6 hours of the Rangers on a rain delay before. The game ended at like 2 a.m.
That's torture.
And that was regular season. I was at the bar, so I really didn't care.
Oh,
But-
man.
That's at the bar. So, anybody hear anything or their thoughts on the new format? So with the WNBA, they went from it was a single man. Drink some more, EJ. It was a single elimination for the first round, and then now they went to a 2-1, which is a 3 game. So if you were the higher seed, you won your first 2 games at home, you were good. If you split, you had to play the elimination game at the lower seed, which some coaches were pissed about that. Some were happy. Some were like, "Hey, if you do what you're supposed to do, that won't be a problem."
If you're the better team, yeah. I like it. I mean, it breeds more competition, honestly.
Yeah.
And that kind of
speaks to the travel issues that they have, because in the 2-1, the first 2 games is at the higher seed. So I mean, it's set up for you to win.
Yeah.
So in the Dallas game, they lost on their home court and they were, but they fortunately they split. I'm sure little Eric was watching. But it's set up for the higher team too. So, but that's because of travel. They don't have the funds to play here, play there, and then come back for a 3rd game. So I like the format, but the 2-1. I mean, is it really fair for number 1 to play 2 straight games on their home field or home court, and then go somewhere else for a 3rd game, play an elimination game away as a higher seed?
I see the WNBA tweaking a lot of rules. Let me ask y'all a question. You think if they lower down the rims to 8.5 feet and shorten the courts and make it faster, more viewers will watch?
I don't think so.
I
think I think the women would feel disrespected and probably stop playing.
They already did that before. They already did that before.
In tennis, is the sport is like every other sport besides basketball. It's different for the females and the male, but basketball.
How's
Look at
that
tennis?
soccer?
Tennis only goes 2 rounds. And tennis,
soccer's
tennis
not.
go 2 rounds for
Soccer's
women
not,
and
yeah.
3 for guys.
I'd say soccer's not though. Like
the game
even for, like,
time is
Premier
shorter.
League and
Yeah, the game time is shorter. In
Game time
basketball.
is shorter, but I think there's more women, more young women that are dunking now. I mean, the athleticism is increasing, the skill is increasing.
Yes.
The gap between like real hoopers and like I kind of do this is increasing, and I think that's fun to see. And so I think those who really want to like watch the sport and support it will. But as a woman hooper, like keep it the way that it is. Like there's no adjusting, I think, that needs to be done, because you can scoot the line back. We're getting stronger. We can knock down threes from as far as we need to, all the different things. And I think, I don't remember who's mentioned, I think Ross earlier, but just about, like we like to see the fundamentals. I don't remember, sorry who it was.
I
but
think that was Blake, because that was going to be my comment. Like,
Right,
the
like-
game, like if you want to watch the game, fundamental basketball, like that's good.
That's
good ball
where it's
watching.
at. Women's basketball is a fabulous thing, amazing thing to watch, because it's such an art form, because we had to be such purists at it. But then you also have the fact that they're throwing in so much more athleticism on top of that. So to change it would be, you would have to almost change everything, because we're still big, we're still long, we're still super, athletic. And so if you shrink the court, lower the rims, it becomes, I think, just disrespectful.
Let me ask you another question.
I
Hold on 1 second. So it looks like the NBA has been carrying the WNBA financially. On a business standpoint, if the NBA wasn't helping out the WNBA, that league will be shut down. They came from 26 teams to 10 teams. They not pushing the revenue like they should push the revenue, and they asking for more money, so we won't have a Brittany Year go overseas and trying to make some money. So I think they do need to put a little twist and turn to the WNBA, coming from 26 teams down to 10. The NBA is carrying them. They need to carry themselves as a business standpoint. That's how I'm looking at it. So the WNBA would have folded a long time ago, like after a year. And what Houston Comets, they have 4 championships, won the first 4. They still not in it. That's terrible. So that's why I brought it up.
I think to your point, what majority of the WNBA is black women. We're black in sports. And if you think about that piece, I don't think an 8.5-foot rim is going to be the reason why people say I'm now going to support a black woman based league, a black woman masculine based league. I just don't think that that's it. That's going to be the thing that makes people want to go more, that makes people want to have their kids supported more. I think, starting at the grassroots still is supporting more youth and young adults playing ball. I think is going to end up transitioning into being more or creating more fans. But I just don't think that making it special. I mean, there's already other sports leagues that are starting to pop around that are becoming more popular. I just don't think that it's going to do anything to it besides make the current WNBA players and collegiate players feel like this ain't it, right? And now it's probably going to increase
more dunks and stuff, more dunks and more excitement. More people will watch it for the excitement.
I mean, maybe in the All-Star game, but I don't think that that's going to be the thing that turns it around because of, we're
I'm
peers
talking about from
too.
a marketing consumer standpoint where you get endorsers to come endorse your products. I'm talking from that standpoint, not from the W. I know the WNBA girls will be hella mad. I know that already. I'm talking from a marketing standpoint, from a brand standpoint, where more people watch it and the brands put money into it, they see more excitement out of
even
it.
as even from a consumer standpoint, right? Like if me being me, a 28-year-old male, if they were to change it up, I could already, my mind is already like reeling in the negative comments that these other people would be, it's obviously hard enough for a woman to be a woman, period, in America. And there's already such a big stigma and mistreatment from the males to women. And then it would just make them a joke, to be completely honest. I wouldn't be able to take it serious if they were to lower the rims to 8.5 feet. It just would not be real ball. Like I don't see how that would be good.
It's
for
the respect part, right?
Yeah.
That I think to your part of the joke, where I don't think it would help in marketing because they're already being talked about when they're doing amazing things. So it's like, oh, well, now you had to lower your rim in order for you to increase. And so I think that would
absolutely
pull away people and increase the amount of jokes of women who have worked really hard to be as dope as they are. And again, you got 8th graders banging out now, right? So the people are getting better. The skill is getting better. The training, all the above is growing at the rate that it should. And I think it's just, a business thing. Unfortunately, yeah, you're right. The WNBA would have folded, but the fact that they're still making these strides, and like Birdie just said, like there's like records are being broken. They're scoring way more points now than ever before, right? I think hope maybe this Brittany tragedy has brought more light and shine onto it. And unfortunately, players are still having to go overseas despite all of that. And so there's a lot more change, I think, around it than thinking about how can we make it more marketable from changing up the game? Because then you'd probably have to change up the collegiate game as well, because that'd be really hard to go from being a collegiate athlete for 4 years and playing 94-50, all of that type of stuff, 10-foot rim, to then go to the league. And then now it's because I definitely don't see them doing that overseas either. The standard is the standard. You will either meet it or that just is what it is. So it would be more of a joke on us to make it look like that in order to get more people to watch it. And then people will probably just watch it as a joke and not in full support of what's going on.
Right. And Will, I would, I feel you on the business side. I think a lot of it is based on branding and investments from ownership. But I don't subscribe to the fact that the narrative that I hear that the viewership of the NBA is solely tied to the quality of play or the style of play. You can turn on ESPN, ESPN2, high school, even collegiate sports that you've never even heard of. I mean, pickleball, hot dog eating contest gets more airplay than freaking WNBA games. But I think a lot of it has to do with the commitment from brands and these companies that invest into sports, more so than whether or not butts are in seats. Now, that used to be the case 20 years ago. Having butts in seats drove 95% of your revenue. That's not the case anymore. The pandemic showed us that these leagues were able to make $6 to $8 billion with no fans in stadiums, no seats being sold. And I think the WNBA can, but a lot of it, I think, comes from not just the NBA, from the ownership group. NBA has 30 guys. You're talking about the WNBA with 12, who are, some of them are billionaires. I think they do have the ability, if they want to change up some of the rules, to change up their bylaws, to change up their constitution and their CBA, to come up with some of these agreements. Let's talk about travel. Josai alone can fund 12 airplanes alone. This guy owns Alibaba. And I think there's a couple of other owners that can partner up and come together and say, let's create, more wealth within our own league, within our own teams, just like any other company does.
And he was trying to do that to a certain extent. He got shut down, right?
Yeah, he got shut down by the league.
The collective bargaining agreement. So,
but I think it's also, what I'm saying is, I think agreement with all of the owners. I know he was, but not all the owners were on board with it. And I think changing the hearts and minds of some of them as they change will also impact that as well, because they have the power to change it. Those 12 guys do have the power to change, to say, this is what we want to do with our league. But not all 12 are on board. Not all 12 are not on board with that.
Right. And how long has the WNBA been around? Was it 30?
20, no, 25,
26 years.
26,
Yeah,
27,
26. Yeah, it was,
I don't think
last year, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't think the NBA is always where it's been, right? Where it is now. It took some time.
No,
so I think the WNBA
took the Lakers to change the game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
To
just
make it what it was.
it's still a fairly new league, so I think there's time for it
is.
to get to where we're talking about.
My thing is, I'm going to go back to, it's a bunch of black women. And as black women, we are the least supported just in general. And the WNBA is made up of over 60% and it might be a little bit higher of black women specifically. And so I think it makes sense to me that it's probably the least supported professional sport because of the makeup, right? Because of who's getting the market, like who is the face of all of these teams. It's a black woman. And more times than not, it's a black woman who kind of looks like me. So now you're starting to get a little bit more Skylar Diggin-esque, right? More feminine women. And then they're getting the deals in different spaces like that. But the league is predominantly black women. And then the other thing, when you look at black women who are, or the amount of black women that play from the NCAA level, they're the minority, right? There's twice as many white women who play women's basketball collegiately than there are black women. But the league is flipped. Right. And you would probably think that there's more black women who play from the collegiate level. But when you think about all divisions 1 through 3, there's probably a whole bunch of white women at the Division 3, Division 2 level, all those other private schools. So we only know and see the same ones from, the tournaments, the UConns, all those teams. Those are the same ones who are going to the league. So we're supporting really kind of the same bucket of women when it comes to the WNBA, for so long. And so I wish that it was, different, but I think in the next 10 years, we'll be talking something different, because I think more women, there'll be more, the retention rate is leaving a little bit. You got the Sue's retiring, you got Diana probably soon, you got Sylvia, all these other women who have been here for the last 20 years are creating more space. And then I think they're going to put their heads together and probably with some NBA guys and say, what can we do? Because you got all these NBA guys that are creating women's or girls' AAU programs as well. And I think if people start to figure out, okay, how can we pour into the W, in the next 10 years, we'll probably see something different. But you kind of just got to give it some time, because they're not going to let the game, die out with as much as it's advanced, especially in the last 5 years.
I think with the new talent.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I think with the new talent that's coming in, sorry, Blake, just real quick. The new talent that's going to be coming in the next, 3 to 5 years, and the growth of social media, I can see a big boom with those older ladies exiting and putting their heads together to help the league from that aspect. I think these younger generations coming into the league, and like I said, with the growth of social media, will do their best as well to grow from inside out. Because you think about from last year's women's March Madness tournament to this year's women's March Madness tournament, there was such a big boom from social media wise, and the mistreatment of women, and the looks that not the looks, but the facilities that were given to the men rather than the women, and that's why there was such a big change from last year's March Madness to this year's March Madness. And I could definitely see how the league, the WNBA, will boom in 5 to 10 easy.
I hope so.
Also,
because
with when he was talking about the NBA, how the NBA started off slow. They couldn't dunk before. Once they started implementing that, NBA became more popular. They couldn't shoot 3-point. Started implementing the 3-point line. The NBA became more popular. So I'm not, I'm open for change, for things to get recognition, and I'd rather them change WNBA forward. So I like WNBA.
Well, go ahead, Jay.
No, my biggest the WNBA has a pettiness to it, and I have like some insight of what's been going on. Because you notice the other women in the league, they don't like Skylar Diggins or Candace Parker.
They don't.
They don't. And the reason is because the last couple of years, the WNBA has been focusing on the more feminine looking type of women, marketing wise. And then the other players are paying attention to that. They see that now. They're like, that's why it's always confusion. You always see different little beefs on Twitter and stuff like that. It's because of that. Like, they literally just didn't vote for Candace Parker and Skylar Diggins because they were the pretty girls, and they was like, nope, y'all not on the All-Star team. Y'all not first team. Literally, that happened. That's what they were doing. And it's so much they done created this whole beef inside the WNBA. Like, you want it to grow. Like, you need the right person in charge. You want it to grow. You want to show all the women in the league. You want to make sure all your stars are being seen.
The New York Liberty, there's infighting within the whole team because they only market Sabrina Ionescu, and then when the girls beef against each other, they actually take jabs at their one player. And granted, she's good, but she's not even marketed for that. She's just become the face because she's considered the most beautiful face on the team, and literally other girls are taking jabs at that whole organization because of that.
Right. And it's a lot of they need to clean up. No, Coach.
So no, I was gonna say, think about. I don't know if anybody has any information on what went down with Liz Cambage in LA and her exit, and how much drama and how she's just really like not welcome. Like, no teams really want to rock with her because of multiple different reasons. And so, to your point, Gina, what I was saying, like, again, a lot of the women in the WNBA look like me. People look like me.
Liz Cambage called us monkeys, though. I mean,
yeah, there's that too. So you got two different
monkeys, but allegedly, I'll go with allegedly.
You've got two different kind of beefs going on within that sport, and is that what's holding them back from a marketing stance, from a growing stance? Like, who knows? But again, a lot of that same stuff. Now you got colorism, right? Like, that's a whole nother. Like, I'm not trying to bring it and take it to that direction, but there's a lot of that kind of stuff that happens. Even the Liz Cambage stuff and what she was talking about, with the Nigerian players and all of those other things that you see more in women's sports that you're not going to see right in male sports. And so, I think there's a lot that goes on inside, obviously, that I don't have all the insider information, but, stuff that prevents women from being able to take Black women from being able to take bigger strides. And what you're saying is the same thing that just as an average Black woman outside of being a professional that we face as well.
I don't know. Now, here's my take, and I know this probably ain't going to sound the best, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, who is supposed to be going to these games? And I mean, not saying I disagree, but I think it is about filling these seats with butts, you know what I'm saying? Like getting exposure all the way through, not just on social media and all that type of stuff, but in the actual arena. Like, you look at these games and there's empty seats. And I know that possibly that women can't, fill that capacity, but it has to be something close to that. But who's supposed to be going to these games? Everything else has its, audience. All right, golf, tennis. We talk about soccer, whatever. Women's soccer is big. Women's tennis is big because there's people going to these events. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to the actual seats that are being filled. If these seats ain't being filled, it's not. I mean, who's supposed to be going to these games? Because it's a women's game. I love it. I go to the college games, WNBA games. It ain't up to me. I think it's up to the women to be. And again, I don't want to sound, like I'm, going off the rails about that type of stuff. But Black women, especially, should be going to these games. Like, Coach Reese was saying, it's Black women majority in these, in these positions, playing all the positions, point guard, center, everything. Should be black women in the stands, in my opinion, filling these seats. And until we get that type of stuff, I think that until we get that type of attention, until the women's sports, to the WNBA gets that type of attention where, you got the black women paying the real, the black women that pay attention to the Kardashians and everything else and all that type of stuff. Till we get them focused in on the WNBA, we always going to have help from the NBA to kick back some bread, you know what I'm saying, to pay all that. Because at the end of the day, men are playing the game. Men are watching the game too, but it's for y'all. It's for women. I mean, women are playing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it should be women watching the sport. And if it's not, then I don't know how to. I don't know. Run some ads on during all my children. I don't know. I just know that
all my children.
More
Birdie,
black women should be watching the sport.
But the thing is, really quick before Birdie jumps in, though, ask your question, Coach, but should it be for all, right? Like when you have football, they're looking to grow. How do we get the women involved, right? Like, or how do we get younger? Like there's always, you want everybody involved for the longevity and for the growth of your game, right? So you need women who are the significant buying power in the United States to be involved, right? You want youth to be involved for the future of the game. So it's just like when you're saying who should watch the game, you want to be inclusive, I think. But Coach, go ahead and ask your question.
I was going to ask Birdie, how many people do you feel like come to the high school girls games where you're at? And so I don't know, like, just think about that. High school girls games across the country
those are tough.
And they have the boys play after in order to get people to be able to come. So Blake, it's not just the WNBA, girls basketball.
I know that. I do my part.
We actually have question one side of the bleachers. That's how little people are there for a girls' game. They only got one side of bleachers out. And it's easier for cleanup. That's literally, and we all share a side. That's literally how many people are not there for a girls' high school game right now.
What's crazy about it, men get a bad rap about not watching women's sports when we actually be the ones that's watching women's sports. Right. We watch women's college basketball, we watch WNBA, we watch tennis. We watch all of it. And like we'll go to a game. Like when I know my cousin, when she was coming up in high school, she's number one player in the nation and all that. Literally every building she went in was sold out. They all came to see her. Like the bigger names in high school, they sell out those buildings. Those buildings be filled to the rim. When my cousin when she was at LSU, when she was playing at LSU, they used to sell out the PMAC every time. Every time. So it's there, and it's just the WNBA needs to capture that feel of what college basketball has done. College basketball does a better job marketing wise compared to the WNBA. They know what to do. Like, especially now with NIL, they do way better than what the WNBA is doing.
Yep.
Just they know what to do with it. And then you have March Madness. Like some of these girls I wouldn't even know of it wasn't for college basketball.
Yeah.
All right.
Coach, in your opinion, how come from college not transitioning to the WNBA?
Say it one more time. How come what?
How come the women's sports, women basketball fans from college does not transition over to the NBA, in your opinion?
Well, this year there was a lot of talk about this where you got number one or first round draft picks who are still getting cut off of teams. So there's just not enough space. So I think that's probably one thing is like I might have supported somebody from, Nebraska all the way through, and then all of a sudden are from UT all the way through, and she doesn't even make the team because what you just mentioned a minute ago, right? There's only 12 teams. There's only 12 teams. That's 144 players. That's not, and then you got Sue Bird, who's been here for 20 of the 26 years. So talking about space and retention, it's almost like, what's the point of having a draft, right? And then if you
dropping numbers though.
Third round, you just really have the stamp. So when you go overseas, they're paying you more money. So I think that the crowd isn't really transitioning because a lot of the players aren't even staying themselves. And that's the unfortunate part is like you want to grow the game, but how can you if there's no space for them to be able to really grow. I think the other part is a lot of these people are bought into the college. They're bought into the college experience. They're bought into the cheapness of the tickets.
Or just their alma
$12
mater, right? Or the location, geographically, like all of those things kind of go into when you talk about a college team, right? Like there's a deeper connection and a little different things that goes on, because when the college team comes out and they retool and they load insert player XYZ, it's that emblem that you're cheering for a lot, you know, like as that player goes on, do you watch them? But like if I'm, you know, a Baylor person, or less, you know, SC where Don Staley's at, I'm a fan of them, but where those players go, I may not necessarily, you know, go to that region. So
yeah,
do you think about boosters?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Brandon.
I'm with you. I think a big drop off is the fact that college fans are typically fans of the college, not as much of the sport. Like Alabama fans are Alabama fans. They could come out and play 52 card pickup and they will sell out a stadium.
It's because they have the most obnoxious fans.
Now talk about a pro league. They like, yeah, we don't really care. I mean, unless a couple of the players go to like the Lakers or go to the Dallas Cowboys or go to the Packers, yeah, they'll watch them. But most of Alabama fans, most Duke fans, most Ohio State fans are just like purely the college fans, and there's a natural drop off. I think that happens with men's sports as well. So start off with a smaller number in women's sports. I think it just drops off even more than that, as well as which coach said as well.
Absolutely. So jumping to the next topic, man, I want to keep this rolling, man. Just a couple of things, man. We got to pay homage to the GOAT, man. The GOAT announced her retirement during this month, man. And it was funny. We just had a show, and I think on our last live, we asked the question, what event would you pay your hard-earned money for?
It ain't happening.
A lot of people said Serena Williams. So if you ain't did it now, you may have missed your opportunity, man. But anybody got any thoughts on Serena, you know, laying it down, saying she's done? Anybody think she's coming back wearing the 4-5? Like any thoughts on that before?
I think she'll come back. I think she's going to take a few years off to raise her kid. You know, those are the best years, as I've heard. Couldn't tell you. But no, I think she'll be back. I think she'll miss the game too much. And like, especially in 4 or 5 years, maybe whenever, you know, her kid's like, I'm out of the mommy phase. And then, you know, all right, back to tennis. Schools don't start up.
She'll be 45.
Yeah, I think her body's telling her no.
As you get older, you get better.
Body's telling her no.
Hey, I agree with that too.
45 is the new 35. So.
Nah, man, not in tennis, bro.
Not when I wake up and come out the bed.
I think she's done, but I also think it's time. I'm okay with it. I think it's great and good for her.
Yeah.
It's
But I
new
also
people coming up too.
with, Eric too. I think there's another baby coming, and I also just think, you know, it's good for her. I mean, I think it's time. She knows when to leave, unlike some other people, you know.
Speaking of that, while my fight is in Paris, my wife is actually going to see her final game. So my final match. So there you go.
There it is.
People will spend the money on it.
Wait, where's your final match? Is it? You said
it's a U.S. Open in New York.
In New York, U.S. Open. All right.
You want to make that trip?
Another great, man, that recently had a series, man, and definitely probably would have got more shine if it was during the shutdown, the lockdown, like MJ's series. But did anybody watch The Captain, the little series that they had, docuseries on Derek Jeter? And anybody watch that and thoughts on that?
No, I watched it. Yeah, I was a DJ. I was a Derek Jeter fan. But then you realize, like, he really wasn't that good. He was just in New York.
Ooh,
So
no.
hold on. There's another Gene take right there that he's not that good.
No, but just like, no, like he was
New York.
good. He was good. His longevity was great. But if you put him, if he was in Baltimore's market, he wouldn't be so loved.
Because they wasn't winning.
Don't love nobody, New York.
Yeah, but I'm looking at him statistically by himself.
But then isn't that what he said though in the document? He was like, he's like, it's about winning. Like, and he was a winner, right?
I mean, but New York, I
the
agree
whole
with
team
you.
was on steroids. I mean, sure you're gonna win.
New York has
Go
that
to
type of
the
environment,
Gills,
though.
to the
When
Gills.
was the last time you heard anything about Robinson Cano? Oh, wait.
Robinson Cano was 30 when he got in the league. So,
but I mean, like he played for the Yankees, and he was so popular, and then he got busted for PEDs, and now he's with the Mets, and I haven't heard a single word about him.
He went to Seattle, then the Mets. He ain't with the Mets no more. He with the Braves.
Yeah. Okay.
I couldn't tell you.
Say if he would have went, like I'm just saying, if Derek Jeter would have been in any other place and still won those championships, he will not be as loved because statistically, his numbers are not that great, dog.
That's the part of playing in those major markets, though.
Yeah, he probably gonna go in as like the worst shortstop to ever make it.
Wow.
No,
I'm from the Bronx. You're insulting me right
man.
Statistically, he is the worst shortstop in the Hall of Fame.
I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that to the captain, man. Nah, man. Salute to the captain.
He's one of my favorite players.
That's a lot. I don't know about that one, man.
He the reason every time I pick a number is number 2. I love Derek Jeter. But if I'm being one thing, I gotta be honest. When you look at his numbers and you compare it to all the other Hall of Famers at his position, he has the worst numbers.
When I look at his numbers, I see rings. And that's all I see. Like I don't see.
I mean, when you have the rings. He has. You know why he has rings?
Because he's good.
Because the Yankees. That's when the MLB had no cap and the Yankees had all the money. That's why he has rings.
There's a bunch of guys over, but I'm just saying though. But he won from the beginning to the end, man. Dude,
they had the most money. And they was able to buy all the players they wanted to win those World Series.
Oh no!
And that's what it came down. And then that Yankees team is the reason it's a salary cap now. Like it's really like a soft cap to it now.
I mean, yeah. I mean, most of that money was going to A-Rod.
Yeah,
like 250 going to A-Rod.
It was no luxury tax. Like
no, there was no luxury tax.
Now it's a luxury tax, and that's why the Yankees can't become good again because you can't just buy a championship. Because they tried, the Dodgers do it. Like they try to buy championships because they have all the extra money, more than other teams. But it's hard to put like a quality team on the field these days,
right?
Especially when your team can't juice no more.
All right, man. Final topic, man. We're gonna get out of here. So we just dropped the episode today. If you didn't get that, the title of the episode was #blame KD. So with that, you know what the topic is, man. So what are your thoughts about the end? We were calling it the end of player mobility, right? So Joseph Tsai told KD, like, hey, you just go sit right here. sit down right here and think about your actions. But as far as putting a team together, there's a lot of things around that, right? Like they're failed, or maybe we don't know if it's failed because they didn't even play together a lot last year. So what do we think about that issue? Any aspect you want to talk about, and we'll wrap it up out of here. So the KD is staying with the Brooklyn Nets. And it's KD at this point, Kyrie, and the Ghost, and Miles' favorite player.
He said the Ghost.
Oh gosh,
the Ghost. I think they good, man. I think they good. They just the KD that once the season started, they started playing ball. All that was non-ball playing stuff. Once they start playing ball, and the Ghost is introduced to the rest of the team. That's still a good team. Come on now. That's still a good team. And I ain't on, 69 ourselves over Kevin Durant and all these cats, man. Let's put it in perspective. That's still a good team. I don't care who you put around them. You put some guys. I think Joe Harris coming back. He ain't played last year. That's a nice little solid piece. They're gonna be all right. I mean, at the end of the day, long as health is always a factor and KD is always there, I ain't blaming KD on that. Yeah. I'd have wanted out of that situation too if I could have. But at the end of the day, he's stuck. And I mean,
I think they need a new coach. They need a veteran coach that they respect.
Yeah, well, should make right?
Okay, that they need a new coach.
He's not a coach. He's just there, as they say. You said Greg Pop?
Greg Pop or Mark Jackson?
Mark Jackson's never
coming.
Mark Jackson is never getting back in this league, guys.
And Mark Jackson is never getting. Mark is never getting back.
He's never getting back in this league.
Never say never.
As a coach, what he did will never get him back in this league.
Never say never.
Hey, all he did was love the Lord. Leave him alone.
He loved the Lord, all right. But
The love of the Lord is wrong.
I don't want to be right.
He got as much chance as Tim Hardaway coming back.
Yeah, it's the man.
They in the same boat, man. It's over.
Yeah, but I look at it with KD, like this next collective bargaining agreement, man, they gonna make sure no players can ever do this stuff again. What Harden did, what KD did, they gonna block all that stuff.
Yeah, they're gonna go to 3-year contracts.
Yeah, they're gonna be like 3 years.
Yep.
You lock in, ain't no moving. Like you got to put in some time service before you ask for a trade randomly, especially on new deals. You got to at least do 3 years of the new deal.
Yeah,
they made it bad for themselves in the next collective bargaining agreement. They just don't realize it.
Yeah, no, they realize it. They realize it because I mean he's the best player in the NBA as far as like 1-on-1, like ball to ball.
Yeah, he's Mr. Get Buckets.
Yeah, and he said, I want to go. And they like, yeah, all right. Yeah, no, you don't get to go. You don't make the decisions. We make the decisions.
Right.
We putting the money up. So, I mean, they know what it is, but.
And then the Rudy deal screwed them.
Yes. So
if they wouldn't have got all that off of Rudy, then KD trade might have happened. But when Rudy went for all that, not happening.
MH mentioned that on our show, so I'm gonna go ahead and plug the new show that dropped today. Make sure you go catch that on all your podcast outlets, Spotify, YouTube.
Yeah,
but no,
what is
that's a definitely great point, man. Like he threw the market off, so he's like, "Yo, if this is what you get for Rudy Gobert, then the bar is
the bar is higher. Like I'm not trading you for anything less."
Facts. All right, man. Anything else for people's hearts and minds before we get out of here, man? I always want to thank you guys for hopping on. Always great discussion, man. Definitely, as the request that me and MH always want to share is make sure you guys share it through your platform because there's definitely great conversations and definitely great thoughts that we have that may spark the person that has the idea that's going to help correct these or just lead those future generations of getting those butts and seats for the WNBA, right? Like figuring out how to work in these different sport platforms. So I always want to thank you all for spending that time that you do spend with us. So please make sure you share this on your platforms. I know a couple of you have the last time you've been on. So please, anything else anybody has for the good of the church?
I'm going to England in 2 weeks, so expect next month's live to be about a lot of Premier League soccer because I'm going to 2 games.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
Coach, where you coach at?
Which coach? You got 2 coaches on there.
Oh, only Coach Reese. Who else is a coach?
I just stepped back from coaching. I was a college coach for 7 years, so now I coach people.
I coach people too. Last thing I want to say is shout out to the Cowboys. I know the season ain't gonna be started by the time we do another one, whatever. Season gonna be then started. Shout out to the Cowboys. It's gonna get busy. Shout out to the Buckeyes. It's gonna get busy. Oh, I know y'all scared of the Buckeyes, but anyway, y'all go ahead, man. Love y'all. Love everybody. Love everybody.
Appreciate you.
Texas high school football started today, so I got my stream going, and that's all I'm doing.
There ain't much as serious as Texas high school football in America.
Right.
Coach Rayford, you got anything?
Nope. Just good to see everybody again. Basketball for me is starting after the holidays, so I'm ready to jump back in. It's WNBA for me until then, so I'm all in. I'm excited, and if you guys got a chance to check out the Aces games on TV, man, they are. I'm all in. I'm rooting for them hardcore.
You got the Aces taking it this year?
All the way. But I'm too. They're playing Seattle next because they beat them twice in the last 12 days. Once at their place, once at our place. And neither time was easy, and now they got him in the second round. So this is almost like the championship itself for me.
Yeah, I got
we need a parade in Vegas.
Yeah, and the Aces the best thing the Aces did was get rid of Liz.
Yep. She got rid of herself.
Yeah, she wanted La La Land.
They didn't even think about giving her a contract. They was like, bye.
Nope. When you beat up one of your teammates and break curfew several times, that tends to happen. So.
Yeah, you can't be filming OnlyFans in our locker rooms.
Right. Liz has some mental health. Let's lay off of her. Let's lay off of Liz. She has some mental health she's going through.
That's what we're gonna go with. All
Well,
right,
as always, I'm gonna say check out tassleets.com if you're interested. Hit me up and getting involved in any way, shape, or form. That's the team that I'm coaching right now is building that up so that way athletes can grow in their experiential, social, and financial capital. So tap in with us on tassleets.com.
Oh yeah,
Coach, where can I get one of them shirts?
Tap in with me. Find me on hit me up on TikTok, IG, whatever it is.
less.
Follow. Let's continue to build it up because that's really the focus. So that way these athletes, all athletes can grow in the ways that they need to grow and get these bags and get this experience. So hit me up. I got you.
I bet that.
Yep.
yes. That's another one of the things I love for this platform, man. We all doing stuff and we all supporting stuff. So thank you all. Like I said, this is going to go live for the replay as soon as I hit this end button. So just go ahead and share it on your favorite platform. It's streamed over Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So pick your favorite format, text it to your friends, tell them to watch it, ask them to provide comments, feedback, and let them know what topics that they want us to talk about. But like we always say, please stay safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yo. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap.